Well, continuing on with our translation of James, we're up to, I think, verse 9. So we begin with kaukasto. This is from kaukaamai, and this is the third person singular imperative. We get lots of these imperatives in James. We've saw some above, and we'll see a lot more coming up in the rest of the work, and we get good practice at our third person imperatives. So the subject is hodelphos, tapenos. So let the brother, the humble one, so let the humble brother, kaukamai is to boast, so let him boast, en te hupse. Hupsos really means height. Here it's used slightly abstractly in his high position. So this is meant to be a reversal, that the humble man boasts in his high position, and the plusios, the wealthy man, understand, let him boast in his tapenosas, in his humility. So we get the adjective tapenos, humble, the humble man, humble brother here, and the abstract noun tapenosis. This is a third declension noun ending in is, so in his humility. Hoti hos anthos kortu paraleusatai, because this is the future eleusamai, is the future of erkomai in biblical Greek. In classical Greek, of course, you use a different word for the future, but here they use eleusamai, which is the ionic form of the future of erkomai. So because he will pass away, hos anthos kortu. Now this is really lifted from the Old Testament. If you look at Isaiah 40 verses 6 following, you'll see very similar expression, this idea of the anthos kortu. Anthos is flower. Kortu, very slightly vague word, it means grass. So it's literally like the flower of the grass. It's often translated of the field, but it's literally like the flower of the grass. Almost greenery, the flower coming up from the greenery, but we can translate it as grass literally. So let the wealthy man boast in his humility, because he will pass away like the flower of the field. And etelen is from anatello, is the verb here. This is the aorist form. So the verb is anatello, which is to grow up or to arise, often used with the sun of arising, in fact. So for hohelios, the sun. Now, even though it's aorist, this is a nomic aorist, so he's making a generalized statement, so he uses the aorist, but we would translate it in English as the present. For the sun arises, sonto kausoni, with its heat. Now you may know the verb to burn is kaio, is the verb to burn, and the aorist of that is ekausa. And the stem is cow or kausen. So they're using the stem of the aorist to form an abstract noun here, kausoni. It's a third declension. Kauson in the nominative. So for the sun arises with its heat, kai exeranen. So this is from xerino, is the verb to dry, to make dry. Xeros is dry. We get our word Xerox machine from the same word actually, but so this is the verb to dry, so it dries out ton horton, the field, or literally the grass, and the flower. Now the main verb here is ex epesen. Now this is actually from ekpito. This is the aorist form here, which just normally means to fall out, But here I think it's been somewhat influenced by the Hebrew of Isaiah here, where the Hebrew word translated as exepesen in Isaiah also has the meaning of fade. And the Hebrew meaning seems to have shifted or transferred to the Greek word, which really has slightly different meaning. So this here we translate as faded, but it's a nomic aorist again. So the sun has come out, it shrivels up, it dries up the grass, and it's the flower of it. Its flower fades. These are all nomic aorists. Translate them by presence in English. Kai he eu prepia. This is means comeliness or goodness. This is the only use of it in the New Testament, but it's common enough in classical Greek and the Septuagint. So, and it's the appearance of its prosopou, literally face. But again, there's been some interference from Hebrew here, because the Hebrew word corresponding to this has quite a range of meanings, including surface. So in Genesis 2, you see top prosopon tes gas, the face of the earth, but it really means the surface of the earth. And so, so the comeliness of its appearance, of its form, surface of it, apolitai from apolumi, this is the middle, perishes. Again, these are all nomic aorists. So we get this nice metaphor from botany here, and James is very fond of metaphors. Hutos, thus also the rich man, meranthesetai, this is from merinamai, which is middle. It literally will wither away. So it's an aorist passive form. The verb itself is middle, but it's deponent middle, and in the past tense, or in the future here, it's taking a passive form, but simply means will wither away. Entais poreos is a funny phrase. It's something like in his pursuits with the autu. In his comings and goings is really the sense of it. So often translated in the midst of his pursuits or something, but in his comings and goings actually captures, I think, more the sense of the Greek. Makarios aner, this is a well-known Old Testament phrase, blessed is the man. That man is blessed, understood esti, hos hu, hupomene. Hupomene is the abstract noun for steadfastness. This is the verb with it. So who steadfastly undergoes perasmos, temptation, you could render that as. So blessed is the man who undergoes or forbears, steadfastly endures perasmos, testing, possibly temptation. I generally like to translate perasmos as testing. Hoti, because genominos, having become dokimos, approved. So having shown himself approved, having been tested and found to be to pass the test. Leipsatai, future from Lambano, he will receive ton Stephanon, the crown testoes of life. Hon from Stephanon, which ep angeleto, this is from ep angelomai, to promise. Ep angelomai, middle, to promise. So which he promised, this is God, tois agaposinauton, to those loving. This is a dative participle, dative plural present participle, to those loving him. Medes peredsomenos legeto. We get some more of these imperatives. This is again third person singular imperative, and you've got me there, but here it's medes. So let no one who is being tested, passive, let no one say, and then hoti recitative, I am being tempted I am being tested. Now there's interesting use of apo here. You'd expect hupo after this passive, but you get apo. I am being given a test from God. Try and get the sense of apo there. I am being tested by God. I am being given a test from God. Hogartheos aperestos est in kakon. For God, aperastos is again a debated word of debated meaning. It either means untested or untemptable, and then defining genitive. It's quite a literary use of the genitive, which is very uncommon in the New Testament. It's a defining genitive. For God is either untested or untemptable in regard to evil things, or this could mean aperastos, having no experience of or unversed in evil things. Whichever way you take it. I'll leave that to the theologians. Perasde de hutos udeni. For he himself, that's God, the autos is emphatic here, tempts udena nobody. Interesting verse here. Again, it's got connections back, for example, with Homer's Odyssey in Book 1, verses 32 to 34, where Zeus is complaining about the fact that mortals accuse the gods of causing their troubles, and he says they cause their own troubles. And it's a very similar idea that we're seeing here. Hekastos, but each one is tempted or is tested by his own epithumia, his own desire. It's genitive. Ex helcomenes kai deleadzomenos. Ex helcomenes is literally being dragged out. It's from helco is the verb, so often translated incited. And there is a word delia, which is the word meaning bait. So here this is the word meaning baited. So this is a metaphor from hunting and fishing. So being incited and baited like an animal. And then we get a total change of metaphor. This really now is a metaphor regarding childbirth, which is interesting. And then epithumia, desire. Sulabusa is from sul lambano. Lambano, this is the aorist feminine participle. It's a word with lots of meanings. Here it has, one of the meanings of it is to become pregnant, and that's what it is here. It can also mean to arrest you, but here it's become pregnant. And then desire, having become pregnant, tikte, gives birth to sin, and sin, apotelestesa, feminine participle again, and it's a feminine aorist passive participle. So this one, it's again the idea of a child, of a fetus in the womb having reached completion, having been fully developed. So, and sin having come to completion, or when fully developed. Apokue, this is a fairly rare word. It's only here in this book in Biblical Greek, and it turns up in 4 Maccabees. Gives birth to. Thanaton, death. And so this we get lots of changes of metaphors. This metaphor is to do with childbirth. And we'll leave it there.